So, hello, namaste, namaskar, good afternoon, good morning, or maybe even good evening, in whichever part of the world you are joining us from. My name is Deepak R. Khemani, and I am one of the co founders of Bloom, along with my other two co founders, Abhijit and Payal. There she is in that corner. It gives me great pleasure to welcome you all to this 261st non-stop Sunday Bloom Talk Show. For 261 weeks, ever since COVID started, we have been there at this time every Sunday for you. Be it rain or shine, online or offline, Sunday afternoon 12:30 India time is the time to log in and listen in and participate in the Sunday Bloom Talk Show. Over a period of 260 weeks, we have spoken with leaders, speakers, trainers, coaches, change makers, doctors, nurses, pilots, athletes, you name it. And these people have graced our platform. A few of us, like the few of our guests, are a little bit mad, MAD. All are these people who are wanting to make a difference. Continuing that series, we have a very special guest who is joining us today. The topic also is a little bit interesting. Why? Because it is different. What is the difference? We talk about storytelling, and just 2 or 3 weeks ago, we had a storyteller who was talking to us about storytelling with children and storytelling in life. Today, we are talking about storytelling in corporates, and especially how stories can drive corporate results with Richa Wahi, who is a storytelling mentor and also a strategist. So, first of all, welcome to the show, Richa.
Thank you so much, Deepak. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Bloom. I'm so happy to be a part of this. Thank you, Payal. And happy to connect and talk about stories, something which I love.
Okay.
Yep.
So the idea was that instead of me introducing you, tell us
Yes.
a little bit about what you do, why you do, and why this niche of storytelling within the corporate space and the results. Tell us a little about yours.
Sure. So I'm Richa Wahi. I'm a storytelling mentor, strategist. These are heavy jargons. I'll simply say I'm somebody who loves stories. I believe in the power of stories and conversations. I believe we can change the world one story at a time. And I also believe that the universe is made up of stories, not atoms. Something which I discovered when I discovered storytelling in COVID. So when the world was shut, that stillness actually brought me closer to storytelling, to stories. And I realized that this is something which is happening globally, and people are shifting the boardroom, PowerPoint into narratives. And something, I had a serendipitous meeting with someone who was teaching storytelling in India. And that one chance conversation led me to this career of mine, and I got so much into it that in 2021 I launched my boutique storytelling consultancy firm, which I called Tales That Spin, because I believe narratives have the power to spin the reality. And that's how, the whole journey started. And today till now we have coached leaders, entrepreneurs, we've mentored students, we have done workshops with startups, with corporates, one to one groups, you name it. And it's not a career for me, it's a passion for me. Now when I say that, and of course we use the word very deliberate, oh, I'm very passionate. I'm actually, when I say I'm passionate about it, or it's a passion, because I have seen the results, I have seen people change, I have seen, boardroom narratives changing into something beneficial. I have seen stories break the monotony. So I totally believe in this. And that is why, I'm there. And I love to talk about stories. I love to talk about the power of storytelling, how you can use it in corporate, how it is different from your normal storytelling, all this. So that's what I do. Yeah.
Wonderful.
Uh, Richa, I'll just go straight to the point, as that's what in
Yes.
corporates they tell me. So as a finance person or as an audit person, when I attend audit committees or board meetings, I'm just given you have 15 minutes to make your presentation or your point. Just come to the point. So So, coming straight to the point, where is the time actually to tell stories? While I understand, I have no doubts that stories are very compelling, inspiring, they can transform, they can impact. And while in a town hall or while in a larger meeting, it may make absolute sense. How do we really tell stories when we're given just 15 minutes or 20 minutes, and that to just make a very factual point?
Totally agree, Abhijit. I'm not saying stories can ever replace data. Now, I'll give you an example. When COVID had happened, we were watching the news purposely. We were just looking at the data. We just wanted to know how many percentage of COVID patients are there in which state. Nobody is sitting there to listen to a story. What you can do is, if you have those 15-20 minutes to talk about data, which is very crucial, which you have to present, you can possibly start or end with the story. Now, what will happen is, if you share a personal story about, let's say you're talking about numbers which are not very great and they're presenting some dismal picture, you can talk about some story from your personal repertoire, and you can possibly end with it. Just like we add a kind of a tadka to the food to make it
Yeah.
more palatable. The tadka is not the mainstay for the food. The food has to be cooked. Similarly, if you add a narrative somewhere in the end or at the beginning, now somebody would say, why would I add? Kam to chal raha hai, I'm doing fine. People are listening to my data. They're looking at my numbers. Yes, definitely. What I say is, it makes everything little more memorable. And I give a very simple example to this, that if I ask you, sir, what is the exact definition for a Pythagoras theorem, you may not remember. But if I ask you, okay, who won the race between tortoise and hare, bang will come the reply, tortoise won the race. Something which you heard as a toddler, you remember, but something which you studied in class 8, you may not remember. We are wired to remember stories. When you hear a story, there is a section called the mirror neuron which gets activated. And that mirror neuron ensures that the neural activity of the listener and the teller is the same. Today, if you watch a movie, let's say you watch Jo Jeeta Wahi Sikandar, where there's a race in the end and you are biting your nails, who's going to finish? Why are you biting your nails? Why are you so involved? Because of these mirror neurons, because the story is activated it. So your neural activity and the teller's activity is at the same level. You think you are on that bicycle and you are racing towards the finishing line. That is the power of stories. And also, everywhere you may not need a story. So this is also one exercise we do. You may not need a story. You don't need a story. Simply give your data and that's it. You can't infuse a story at every goddamn place. So that's also we do an exercise when not to use a story. Sometimes data is so important and it has to be spoken in such a crisp and quick manner that a story might derail or delay. So leave it for the time being. But if you think the story can be like a ribbon bow on your gift wrap, just add it. Just share it. Possibly take 1 minute, but somebody might remember you on that day because of the story you've told.
Where exactly do we infuse stories? Because it's only because when I speak with thought leaders or experts in storytelling like you, I know, oh, I could have infused the story here. So where you have the skill to easily adapt or adjust a story to a context, to a particular 5 minute time also, how do we as lesser mortals learn that skill?
See, I'll give you an example. Supposing you enter a room where you
Yeah.
have 20 executives and you've come to deliver something, you've got 15 minutes, okay?
Yeah.
And you have to give your numbers. People are just waiting for the numbers because that is
Hmm.
the make or break.
Hmm.
And you would say, I don't need the story here. Yes, you don't
Yeah.
need the story here. But you can just start by sharing a story about how sometime back you had entered a room where 20 executives were waiting and the air conditioning was so low, the temperature was so bone chilling that you actually had, some personal anecdote you share. What will that do? It will break the ice. The tempers, the temperaments which are, which are at a certain level, it'll break the ice. It'll make you more human. It'll help you connect with them immediately. Now, इस story का यहाँ पे कोई role नहीं है data में. You've just used it just to break the ice. I'll give another example from the boardroom setting. So after pandemic in 2020, when Airbnb was facing massive cancellations, losses were there, and they had to let go a number of people. One thing was that, okay, you know the situation, you have to let go because the company is facing losses. What different did CEO Brian Chesky did, which actually became a masterclass in corporate storytelling, is he wrote a letter each individual, to each employee he was letting go, telling him the situation, telling him how this decision is important at this time. Then he went one leg forward. He ensured that these people understand that once the ride becomes better, they can come back. He ensured that they get jobs in different organizations wherever he could. Now, it was not necessary for him to write that letter. What did that letter do? It made him more human. Did it deviate from the path? The data was there. कि ये इतना loss है, you have to let go these many employees. But writing that letter made him more human. People connected with the ethos, people understood his vision, and people understood कि हाँ अगर हम उसके shoes में होते, we would have done the same thing. So the impact was little less. Similarly, in your setting, let's say you have got 15 minutes, you enter a room, you can just use story, any story to break the ice. Now, which story will you use? That's where I'll come in the picture and I can help you. I can just say that
So,
you can just take the help of a story coach like me or anybody who can just understand, okay, this is the data. So that's what also we do. Supposing you have a presentation coming up, people come to us and we say, okay, this is what you want to present. Possibly you can add little bit of narrative here, and this is how you can restructure and present it. So it will depend what is the data you want to present, what is the audience, what is the age group. Everything will be taken care of. What is the age group of the audience? What is the mental setting? How much time do you have? What setting you're presenting in? How many times have you presented this data before? What was the response? Accordingly, we can craft or we can help you fish out a story and add it there.
so basically, I need to learn that skill is how to infuse the right story for the right data. Is because when I speak with you, I get the feeling. Obviously, within a second, you could have 5 stories. So that's what when I clearly remember I had done a communication class with a Dutch professional called Chris Baldwin, and I had given him my presentation, and within a few minutes he gave me at least 11 to 12 various ways in which I could have done the start or the middle or the end.
Absolutely.
So those
Absolutely.
things which come naturally, obviously, a lot of people here would not be attuned to that skill. So how do we start developing that skill? So obviously, yes, we would, for a shortcut, take the help of a coach. Obviously, yes, you may not be skilled at certain things, so you outsource or you take help. But if we slightly want to improve also, because at many times it would be that we need to give a presentation so suddenly. So how do we get that skill? So do we develop a repertoire of stories as when to use what and what context, or how do we actually go about skilling this?
So if you want to if you want to use storytelling, it's like similarly like, if you want a perfect body, you need to be hit after, say, 3 months, you need to be hitting the gym today. Similarly, if you want to get in the habit of using stories and, they should come to your own, you have to start using or tickling the storytelling muscle on a daily basis. The first thing you can do is you can start reading the story banks, which talk about a lot of business stories. And as you read them on a regular basis, slowly and gradually, your mind will start to use the right story at the right time. And there are numerous ways in which you can do it. There are a lot of TED Talks available. There are talks available which tell you how you can change the hook, that is the starting line. So the same thing can be said in 11 or 12 or 13 or 15 different ways. So you can start picking on that. Okay, this is something. If I can change the hook, possibly it will catch better attention. So the thing is, you have to read. You have to start reading the stories, and there is numerous content available, numerous story banks available. There are a number of global storytellers who continuously accumulate these stories and print them, and they're available to you. You just start reading them.
Easy to curtail down it's easy to curtail down a story also. It's easy to also talk unnecessarily, which we do. But what do you think is just the right time? Maybe a 3 minute, 2 minute, 4 minute, or it should not be below 1 minute or over 5 minutes? Any minimum max here as a
Yeah.
formula?
So max to max, it should not exceed 5 minutes. More than
Okay.
5 minutes is too much. So
Okay.
generally, if you're giving an intro story, try to wrap it up between 1 to 1.5 minutes,
So 1 to 1.5 is the right
Intro.
place.
Supposing
Yeah.
somebody tells you, okay, introduce yourself. People go on saying, oh, I did BTech from here, MBA from here, X organization. Don't do that. Try to say what is your why on this earth, what is that thing that brings you joy, what is your why as a person, and talk about that in 1 to 1.5 minutes. Your introduction goes up to 5 minutes, you have already failed. Nobody is listening. People shut down after that first minute. They start looking at their phone. They start looking ki khatam kab karega. There's another thing which I share in my workshops, which Javed Akhtar ji has said. We have come to a situation. We are not listening to talk. We are waiting to talk. I am waiting कि आप चुप करो फिर मैं बोलना शुरू करूं. So this is the situation we are in. We are not listening. We are waiting to talk. कि आप चुप हो जाओ, अब मेरी बारी है. So उस केस में स्टोरी टेलिंग बहुत जरूरी है, बिकॉज दैट इज हाउ यू विल कैच द अटेंशन. अदरवाइज फर्स्ट 30 सेकेंड 60 सेकेंड पीपल स्टार्ट लुकिंग एट द फोन, दे स्टार्ट वेटिंग, अरे कॉफी नहीं आई, अरे अब ये चुप कब करेगा, अब मेरा चांस कब आएगा. दैट इज व्हाट इज हैपनिंग. We've been to numerous auditoriums, conference room. This is the precise reality. They might cluster a smile because if you're a senior, they'll nod also, but internally they've shut off. So introduction 1 to 1.5, and if you're there on the stage, 5 minute ke baad, just that's enough. 5 minutes is more than enough.
Let's actually bring in somebody who is 16 years old and let's bring her on. Tanya.
Tanya, yeah.
So
Hi,
happy
Tanya.
to see that you're assuming that I'm 16. Thank you so much. Yes, but I absolutely enjoyed being a part of this. I could really see how Richa, she's so passionate about storytelling that her energy was literally calling for attention again and again. So it was that powerful and impactful. And I've heard her speak before, I'm hearing her speak again today. And the kind of insights you carry, Richa, literally there's fire that I'm experiencing. And maybe it is
Thank you so much.
because of how authentic you have been in sharing your stories and the journeys of all the people that you've worked with and the people that you've helped. So a lot of it I was able to connect with, especially the part where you said it's about how you are being vulnerable and it's about how you share the story and help them take a key takeaway, because at the end it is the perception, right? Even if I share one story right now, there could be something that you take away, Dr. Alka takes away, Deepak sir takes away, right? All of us will take away something else from the story, but it is very important that we summarize or bring back to why we shared what we shared, right? And so that we are all in the same zone. And energy part, absolutely connect with it. Yes, it's
Yeah,
it's a
thank
good
you.
reminder again to stick to
Thank you so much,
yes.
Tanya.
Thank you,
Thank you so
Tanya.
much.
Thank you, Deepak sir, for wonderful hosting. Richa, welcome, and thank you
Thank you.
for sharing the space. Thank you, dear audiences. And before we wrap up, Richa, one question I have, and I want to ask you, if you could
Please.
glorify one universal truth for everyone today, what would
Hmm.
it be?
Your story is told in rooms when you exit them. Make sure it is real, authentic, and it is something that drives home a point. So कहते हैं कि in the end कहानी रह जाती है. So eventually, when we exit the stage of the earth, what remains is our stories. So I'm not saying they have to be powerful, they have to be real, authentic, and just ensure that they bring home a point.